Greetings, it is I, Tantus Naravan Dracovin, and it's a Saturday, so it's time to talk about Shadowrun again. So I'm going to continue talking about it. Last time I talked about a lot of the world setting and a lot of information like that. I'm going to start off with describing how to play the game with some basic rules, and then I'm going to move into building your character today. I've talked about it before. It's a D6 system. You roll everything in a series of 6-sided dice. Now, you have a number of ability scores and skills. Traditionally, most checks are going to be based on these two. You add an ability score to a skill, and whatever number is how many D6s you roll. The target number is a 5 or a 6. So if I roll, I want to get 5s and 6s. Now, traditionally, most checks, you only need to get one success. There are other times which you might have to get more than one, but for most checks, you only need to get one to actually successfully do it. The more you get, maybe you might get it more successfully. Like if you're leaping across a chasm to grab a ledge, if I only get one, maybe I barely am hanging on, I might have to make another check really to pull myself up, or I need the help of a friend. While if I make 4 or 5, maybe I made the entire thing and I just got over it. So there are special rules when you're making a test. Let's talk about them. The first off is glitches. If I am successful, but half the dice I rolled are 1s, I've made a glitch. A glitch means something small bad happened, like if I'm climbing over a fence, maybe I ripped a pocket and something falls out. It might not be something major fell out, but I might want to go back and grab it. It's something small like that that's inconvenience. A glitch. Now you can get a critical glitch, which means I glitched, half my dice are 1s, and I had no successes. That's just something really bad. It would be like I'm climbing over that fence and my coat gets stuck on it. Like my entire back and coat stuck. So now I'm stuck on the top of the fence, hanging around that I either need to rip my coat, I have to spend some time getting off, I'm getting delayed so that, you know, the people that are chasing me have a lot better chance than me just grabbing a small item that fell out of my back pocket. Your critical glitch can oftentimes be deadly and it's very bad. Now, there's also automatic successes. If you have enough dice, your game master might say you have an automatic success. Traditionally, it would be you consider having 5 dice, you get 1. It's more than if, like, what you'd think would actually be the ratio, but for a lot of times, if you're rolling a lot of dice, you probably don't have to get more than 1. And then your game master is just going to say, you have enough dice, you get it. If I have 10 dice, and I need 1 to succeed at this, my game master's like, yeah, you're going to get it. You get 2 successes, you're fine, you made the check. You made whatever skill or attack or whatever. Granted, there are times when you want to make all those successes, and you want to roll, it might make a difference, but that'll come up. Now, there are 3 types of tests. There's success tests, which traditionally only need 1, but it might tell you you need more than 1. That's just the general check. There's opposed tests, where I'm rolling against someone or something else, and we're competing with some kind of test. And then there's extended tests, which means I have a task to do, and every time I roll my die, it's a certain period of time, I don't lose any progress for having very few successes. Glitches and critical glitches might screw me up, but otherwise, if I'm not glitching, I can keep rolling and seeing how well I do every time and build to a certain success level. Okay, now there's a special score I have to talk about now. So there's an ability score called Edge. Now, what is Edge? Edge represents your sort of luck, your good fortune, that things are going to go right for you. You can spend it in a number of ways. You can spend temporary edge, which you get back by sort of acting within character, doing certain things. You do gain edge back. But when you spend temporary edge, you get little bonuses here and there. There's an entire list in the book of different things you can spend temporary edge on. But you can also spend permanent edge. When you spend permanent edge, you do it to save your life when it looks like there's no option of living. Like if you're falling out of a building, you're just gonna hit the ground, you're gonna go splat. Guess what? There was like a flagpole sticking out, you get your coat caught on it, so you have like a couple of seconds before your coat rips so that maybe you can grab onto it, maybe you can do something to save your life. You can also spend permanent edge to automatically succeed on anything. No matter how difficult it is, you can just burn away that edge and say, I succeeded at this. So let's talk about beginning to make your character. For making your character, I'm going to tell you what the system is here in 4th edition, and I'm going to tell you what the system in 5th edition is. The system in 4th edition is a character point system. You have 400 character points which you can spend on everything involved in your character. Your attributes, your race, your skills, your money, your contacts, everything that you would spend money on. Magic if you have it, technomancy if you have it, I'll talk about what they are later, but you spend your character points for everything. And the basic character starts with 400 points. That's a little different than in 5th edition. In 5th edition, you have a priority system, where you assign a priority from A to E. You assign your priority between race, attributes, skills, money, and magic. And each time you assign one of your letters to it, it tells you how high the priority is. If you want to have the most amount of money, you'd put A there. If you want to have the most amount of skills, you put A there. And it goes down the list on the most amount of something you get. So like, if you don't want magic at all, you're probably going to choose like an E. But on the other hand, if you want to be a very magical character, you put your A there. So that's the big differences on how you make characters. Again, as I've said before, converting between these two systems is very easy. So the 4th edition character I'm helping you make right here converts over to 5th edition very easy. There's only a few differences that we would talk about, and I will talk about those differences between the character creation. So now that we know how many points we have, let's begin to talk about the different races you can choose from. The race does tell you a few things. It tells you your starting attribute for all the 9 normal attributes. Shadowrun has 9 normal attributes and 4 special attributes, and 1 derived attribute. Derived meaning it depends on 2 other attributes. I'm going to explain all of them, but that's another episode. This one I'm just going to talk about the races, and it only really talks about the basic 9. So for every race, it will tell you the starting number. 1 is the basic starting, and it tells you the maximum that you can get in that, which traditionally I can purchase up to. Let's say if you're a human, we're going to use a human as this example here, because human is fairly average. They'll start in 1s and everything, and the normal maximum is 6. So from 1 to 6, I would have to spend points to purchase up. I'll explain how you get higher ability scores next time, but just consider that the human has 1 in all 9 attributes, and I can purchase up to 6 in all of them also. Now, there's a number in parentheses on this chart. That's the enhancement. Whether through magic or technology, you can enhance any ability score higher. Traditionally, it's half of what you have. So as a human, with a normal maximum of 6, half of 6 is 3, I can get 3 more, so I can get up to a 9 as a human. That means no matter how much magic or technology I pump into me, 9 is the maximum I can ever have as a human. Now the different races, some of them have different starting attributes. They might start with a little more in this, like strength, or a little more charisma, or a little more dexterity. But they also might have lower maximums. Like certain ones, you don't get as high intelligence maximum. You might have only 4 for your logic, and that means your enhanced would only be 6. That sort of thing. And every race has special abilities too. So I'm going to go over the races, how many points they cost you, and the special abilities for you, and if their attribute numbers vary from the basis of the humans, which are 1, 6, parentheses 9. Okay, that's the human though. We've talked about the human, but the human does get a special ability. They get a bonus edge. That means they have +1 edge, meaning a human starts at 2 edge and can get up to 7, different from all the races. So the first race after humans are orcs. Orcs are kind of snub-nosed, piggish. They've got tusks. They're a little taller than most humans. They age quicker. They're adult quicker than a normal human, and they appear to have like a lesser lifespan. They seem to sort of burn out quicker. Now, they cost you 20 points. They have a higher strength and body, but they lose logic and charisma. They can't get as much at it. You know, they still start with 1 in each of those, but their maximums are lower. Meaning any kind of character based around those, you're not going to have as high. They're better at strength and body-based things. Now they also have low light vision, meaning in dimmer light conditions, they can see just as normal as a person in bright light. Next up is Dwarf, which will cost you 25 build points. Now, dwarfs are smaller than most humans. They're kind of stubby, short, stout. They traditionally seem to age like a normal human, maybe a little older. They'll get to being adults. They get bonuses to their strength and body and willpower and have a penalty to their maximum of reaction. Now, they have thermographic vision, meaning sort of like a snake that sees heat. They can also sense heat. They also get bonus dice against pathogens and toxins. They have a resistance to it. So next up after that is the 30-point elf. Again, they're 30 points. Elves are sort of a little taller than average person. They seem to have very long lives. They age much slower than other people. Again, it's only been like 70 years, so we can only judge by 70 years, but, you know, it's only been like 60 years since a lot of these races showed up. So in 60 years, the elves still seem like they're much younger than people, so we know they live much longer. It's sort of like you can estimate lifespan a little bit. So they're kind of tall, a little more regal, a little more aloof. They get bonuses to their charisma and dexterity. They have no penalties to anything. So their charisma and dexterity can be a little higher, and everything else is just the same as a human. Now they also get low light vision. Last up is the 40-point troll. Trolls get a lot of strength and a lot of body. Trolls are tall. They're like 9 foot tall. They have like nodules. They're kind of like gruff. They have kind of fangs. They have horns. They're really tough and brutish. They kind of have a similar aging thing to orcs. It seems like they might be a little older than orcs. They might grow up a little more. As I said, they get a big bonus to body, a big bonus to strength. They get penalties to agility, charisma, intuition, and logic. Now, trolls do get some bonuses. They have a natural armor, meaning they have +1 to their armor bonuses. I'll explain how armor works in Shadowrun later on, but just think that they already are defensive. They have +1 reach. Reach only applies to melee attacks. It's a special bonus, which I'll explain when I'm talking about combat a little later on, but consider they have longer arms and better. And they also have thermographic vision, meaning they're heat sensitive in their eyes. Now, these aren't the only races, and there are also modifiers to these listed races. The main book that talks about them is a book called The Runner's Companion. If you're interested in playing as something else, you can read into it. It talks about sub-races, for the ones I've listed here, that kind of lose certain things and gain certain things, and sometimes they cost more build points. And they talk about a lot of the other unusual races that you might be able to play. There are some that aren't even human. You know, there are Naga, Sasquatch. You could play these. There is a whole list of other creatures. There are rules for playing an AI. It would be really, really, really hard to play. I've seen someone try to play it. It's very difficult. I would not recommend it as your starting character. I would recommend, if you're really interested, looking into it, but try to avoid that. Stay with one of the base races here in this book I've talked about. Again, but if you really want to play one of those other races that's very unusual, you can look into the book or other books. Runner's Companion has most of them. Anyway, so now I've gone over the basics of character creation in Shadowrun. I've talked about the races of this Shadowrun. If you have any questions about what I've talked about or any comments about anything, leave them in the comments. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and please subscribe. We're always looking for more citizens. And until the next time, I bid you farewell.